week 3 of the fantasy basketball season, and here's a few forwards I would try to trade for and buy this week. The first guy's Michael Porter Jr. of the Denver Nuggets. Porter Jr. now, he's been out the last few games because of the protocol for COVID-19. He might have been exposed or whatever the deal is, but anyway, Porter, I was big on him coming into the season, and now he's going to be out a few more games probably. Who knows? There's no timetable for his return. He missed 2 games so far, and he was putting up decent numbers in his first 4 games of the year. The first game of the year, 24 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 60% from the field. Then December 25th on Christmas, 10 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals. And then versus Houston, another day, 14-9, 2 assists and a block, and then 30-10 versus Sacramento. Before he went on the COVID list was Michael Porter Jr. Porter Jr., he's a big talent. He would have been the first pick overall a few seasons ago in the NBA draft if he didn't have that bad back injury. But anyway, Porter Jr., I think you could get him on a discount right now because he's been out a few games. And owners, they might not want to wait for injury guys, even though I know it's only week 3 of the season. But Porter, I think he's going to explode and have a huge fantasy season. And that's why I would try to get him now when his value's probably at its lowest. The next guy is Boldnanovich of the Atlanta Hawks. He's been frustrating to own so far in the early going. But he's going to get all the opportunities for the Hawks. You know, the Hawks, they paid him a big boatload of money, even though DeAndre Hunter is starting so far here for this Hawk team. But you got to stick with Bogdan. He's banged the ankle up versus the Knicks in last night's game. But I would still try to trade for him. He's had a couple flashes this season with a 15-point game, a 17 and a 22, and then a couple mediocre games. And right now, his value's probably at its lowest after 3 bad games in a row with 7 points on 33% shooting, 11 points on 33% shooting again, and then only 3 points versus the Knicks last night on 33. So Bogdan, I think he'll be fine. He's got to acclimate to the system in Atlanta. And his minutes, they got to go up a little. With Gallinari out, they should. But hopefully this ankle injury don't hold them back. But right now, I would try to make a trade for him. And obviously, you're not going to have to give up much. If you do, then it's not worth it. But he's a guy I would try to trade for. The next forward is Robert Covington of the Portland Trailblazers. Covington, he was on the list last week. And once again, he's a buy low type of player. He's playing for this team. He's getting 25, 30 minutes. He just has to fit in to this offense and get more shot attempts is the problem with Covington here. You know he could rebound. You know he'll help in steals. He'll get maybe a block a game and he'll add 2 threes a game. So right now I think Portland, they just got to get him into the system more and get the ball in his hands more and opportunities where he's going to have to shoot and score. And Covington, last season with Houston, he fit in, and it was the same type of thing. He had Russell Westbrook and James Harden on his team, where he wasn't going to touch the ball much, but he was still solid. And I think this similar role here in Portland he could have as the games go on and the chemistry gets going. Because McCollum and Lillard, their usage is a lot, just like Westbrook and Harden. But Covington, he got the job done with Harden and Westbrook, and I think he could with McCollum and Lillard, and I would go out there and get him. And right now, you probably don't have to give up much to get him. The next player at forwards, Andrew Wiggins of the Golden State Warriors. Wiggins, another guy I think he's trying to fit into the system. Last season, I know he was there from the trade deadline on in Golden State, but he didn't play with Steph Curry, who was out with the injury most of the season. And now Wiggins, he's starting to pick it up the last couple games here. January 1st, 41%, which isn't great from the field. 15 points, 4 boards, 2 blocks though. Then January 3rd versus Portland, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and he hit a 3. And then last night versus Sacramento, another decent stat line, 16 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, a steal, a block, and 2 threes, 46% from the field. So Wiggins, he's giving you a little bit of everything, surprisingly, not just the scoring aspect of things. And I think Golden State, they want him to be the number 2 option over there, with Klay Thompson being out for the season with the Achilles injury. And I think Wiggins, he's starting to get it going. His field goal's going up slowly over the last few games here. And he's still scoring points. He's getting blocks, which is very surprising. He was never a shot blocker, obviously, he was Wiggins. And he's even adding a few assists here and there. So his game's expanding in Steve Kerr's offense, and playing with a player like Curry, you're going to get a lot of opportunities and chances to make plays, and that's what Wiggins is doing right now. So I would try to trade for him now before it's too late and he puts up great numbers the rest of the way. And the fifth and final forward I would try to get on the bye is Aaron Gordon, the Orlando Magic. He was on the list last week, and once again he's going to make it. He's been struggling for most of the season, but Gordon last night, he broke out with 6 threes, which is a big thing for him. If Gordon could start shooting that jumper consistent and hitting threes, he's going to be a great player for the Magic and fantasy basketball, obviously. And right now, 24 points, 11 rebounds, an assist and a steal, and he shot 52% from the field. So Gordon, that's the last thing he's got to develop in his game. It's his three-point shooting and mid-range shooting. And once he gets that down, he's going to have a lot of big games like he did last night versus Cleveland. So Aaron Gordon, the window might be closing to get him because the last 2 games now, he stepped it up with good games. But he's a player I would try to target here heading into week 3. So that's a few forwards I would try to get heading into week 3 of the fantasy basketball season.